What's up, everybody? Today we're going to break down how John hunts out of a tree in a lone wolf climber, and we're going to go through how I hunt out of a tree in an XOP saddle setup, and I'll break everything down with you. Of course, we picked the buggiest day you could possibly imagine to do this, but we both had the time to do it, so join us as we go through everything.
Welcome to adult men climbing trees for fun.
What's up, everybody? John and I are going to go through our hunting setups when we hunt out of a tree. John hunts out of a lone wolf climber, which is over yonder.
It's not set up yet.
I hunt out of an XOP saddle. I've got one stick set up already. I'm going to show you once you get your one stick. I have aiders on all my sticks. I'm cheap. I don't want to buy more sticks than I need. And 1,000-pound paracord and a 500-foot reel is pretty cheap. So, works pretty good. Safety first. Take your lineman's belt. Get it around the tree. This lineman's belt, I just have a Prusik knot on it. It's just how it came. I do use a Kong duck for my bridge, but for this, it doesn't really matter. You can get one, you don't need one. They're definitely handy, but it's not like a absolute necessity. So I stick one foot in, tight to the tree, get my belt up, sit like that. Next step, and up just like that. Get on top. I use a carabiner just to hang my sticks off of. I can grab it easy. My platform on the other side is hung off the other side of my lineman's belt. That just works pretty good for me. It's also 85 degrees with like 120% humidity.
And the bugs are nasty.
And every bug in Pennsylvania is right here. So it's super fun.
Yeah.
I don't use am steel for to tie off to my tree. Again, it's just paracord looped around it. That just works good for me. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't do that, it's not safe. So, kind of figure out where your next step has to be. I'm probably one of the least flexible people on the face of the earth. So, it's always a chore to get into a tree.
And don't tie your stick to your rope.
Yeah, don't tie your stick to your rope.
No
When you
good.
go to stand up, you're going to pull all your stuff with you. So I don't do anything crazy here. I pretty much just tie a half hitch in it twice. And I've yet to have any issues with that. Push down on it. Same thing, stick your foot in. Give a little bit of extra chooch. Step into your next one. Step into the next one. And you can see with two sticks, I'm already pretty high off the ground. I should have brought a rangefinder.
I mean, yeah, you're probably to your feet. You're probably about 8 feet off the ground. To your head, you're probably about 10.
So once I'm just about where I want to be, I will try and remember how this works because I haven't done this since last season. Same, maybe different. I don't really remember. As long as I don't fall out of the tree, I don't really care. I try and get that up kind of high. And then put some weight on it. I'll just leave it hang. Now I'm up here. Undo my saddle. Undo my saddle. Untie my platform. This I have a totally unnecessary amount of rope on for some reason. So depending upon preference, which way you like to hunt. This is a bad example because we're not actually hunting here, but there's some nice terrain features here where there's a lot of down trees to my right here, which kind of create a pinch point. There's also a little bit of a drainage that comes straight down. So the thought is if I sit on this side of the tree, I have a great strong side shot to anything that comes down this drainage. Plus, if anything does walk down it, I can get behind the tree. That's one of the benefits of saddle hunting is you can, you know, really use the tree to your advantage. You can really hide behind it, which is, in my opinion, like one of the whole points of saddle hunting is having that ability. And make sure you inspect everything, you know, every year, especially you don't mess with it over the summer. So I'm gonna cam that over. This one's kind of nice because if you don't like how it lays, you can adjust a little nut on it so it really bites into that tree how you want it. I don't do much with this rope. I kind of just wrap it back around. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me I'm doing this wrong, but that's fine. It's the land of free opinion and opportunity, so do with my information what you want. So if you're an idiot like me, you set this up where you can't physically get to it. That was super smart. So we're going to untie this now. Now you all get to see my failure because there's going to be a big nasty gash in the side of this tree.
It didn't look that bad.
Yeah, punching above my weight on that one. So, the nice thing though.
Yeah.
So, then you can step on it. Personally, before I get in my saddle, just because you never know what's going to happen, I always switch off to my bridge. Before I get into the saddle and I loosen my lineman's belt, just in case for whatever reason, if this thing lets loose, you know, I'm not going anywhere. So that's pretty much it. Some guys hunt with this down here. I'm not a huge fan of that. If this is down by your waist and you fall, you're like in no man's land between your sticks. So you're gonna scramble. One of the things I actually don't like about these sticks in particular is they are super sharp. Like, they will slice your finger wide open. I can't wear like rubber muck boot style boots and hunt out of this platform because I did it last year and I put holes in my boots. That's how sharp these are. I mean, if you want to go crazy, I'm sure you could grind the nubs off of them. But so once I'm up here, I typically will readjust this a little bit just to get a little bit more height out of it, because I want, you know, as much space in here. So I'll hang, you know, a tree strap around it with an S-beaner. I'll hang my bow off of one side. The only reason we don't have our bows here today is you can't target shoot on public land in Pennsylvania or state game lands. So we were gonna do how to shoot out of a saddle and how to shoot out of a climber. We'll film that somewhere else, but we had time to get out here for this today. Like I said, I really like this Kong Ascender. It's pretty handy. You know, it's pretty much one-hand operation. I mean, you can get, you know, up into the tree pretty good. You know, you can get close to it. You know, let's say you have a deer come out. You know, I mean, even, you know, I can comfortably shoot out of this saddle. Watch, this is when it's gonna fall. You know, if I have a deer coming down this side, it's relatively simple for me to make a quick adjustment, grab my bow, pivot, and I can shoot. I'm not overly comfortably, but, you know, I can shoot out of this side, you know, all day. And I have a somewhat wide range of motion. I mean, maybe 40 yards I can cover in an arc, you know, switch back. And if that deer comes around the side of the tree, you know, I can, you know, easily swing over a little bit. And I still have enough room here. One of the reasons I like such a steep bridge and tether is that the steeper that angle is, the farther you can get away from it to make a shot. And like I said, some guys will run them down here. Personally, that wigs me out a little bit. You know, because if you fall, now your center of gravity's at your waist and you're gonna slam into that tree. Versus if I fall here, you know, it's not that bad. The other nice thing with the saddle is you can sit like this too. If there's not a lot going on and you're trying to just get comfortable, you could lower this, you know, and you can get down and kind of squat on it and just relax. It is pretty comfortable. I've seen kind of, I'll call it a fad, this new thing where guys are using this ring of steps. I don't really get that whole concept, because if you're constantly walking, let's just say 180, eventually you're going to walk that loose and you run the risk of that falling. And if that falls, say whatever reason you're standing up, and this thing falls down here and you fall at the same time, you're not going to have a great time. So I always try and have this at an angle, so I'm constantly adding pressure to it. You know, that's just what I like. And like I said, you really can just kind of get down in here and sit and relax. You know, your bow's hanging up there, whatever. I think it's pretty handy.
I'm relatively new to tree hunting. Literally started doing it last season. I've always hunted off the ground pretty much my whole life. So this is new to me, but this setup is pretty straightforward. The parts are a little bit more cumbersome than Kelby's quick and easy setup, and much lighter, but this thing works. You know, it's rated for 350 pounds. It's just basically tension on the tree and just making sure all your stuff is tight. But I'm gonna climb up I don't use a lineman's rope. I just use my safety tether, and I'll just kind of move it up as I climb the tree. It's a way to do it. Like I'll hook it up down here. Like I'll step in like that, step in, hook my safety rope up, and then just kind of shimmy it up the tree as I go. So I'm gonna do that. So we're good. I'm gonna touch the tree. Put that up as high as I can. Get it there. And you're basically just gonna shimmy up the tree with this. You get this up to its comfortable height. Use this bar as a seat. And you take your feet. And at this bottom piece, hook your feet under there. And you're just gonna bring it up to kind of like, so you're in a seated position. And then you're gonna, I always give it a little tap to make sure it's bitten to the tree. And just pick this piece up. And you wanna make sure you always attach your foot platform to your seat platform, because if you don't, you'd end up with your seat fucking dropping out from under you in the middle of the climb, or once you're up there. And that's no fun, because then you gotta climb down and get it, or figure out how to get down and get it. Adjust your tether, bring your feet almost up to your chest. Make sure everything's seated in the tree. Stand up, seat the top, sit down in it, add some weight, adjust your tether. And this isn't exactly the side of the tree I wanted to climb, but for this purpose, it's a little awkward work. So I'm pretty much set where I'm gonna hunt now. Tighten these down immediately. Just max them out. So that way there's constant tension on the platform. I don't know if you could see it when I was down there, but when I latch it to the tree, because the tree is gonna get smaller in diameter as you go up, I'll usually set it up so it's a little bit cocked up like this, or up like this. So that way, as the tree gradually gets smaller in diameter as I go up, it'll level out like it is now when I'm basically where I want to hunt. So yeah, so we'll get those tethers strapped down so that the platform and the seat portion have constant tension. And then the last thing I'll do before I get all situated with my gear and whatnot is I will secure this seat to the tree like that. Tighten that down. So now I don't usually use the seat because it's not very comfortable. So I'll usually keep it folded back. And I'll almost run this like a saddle. So I'll sit back on it like this. This tree is a little tough for this rope at the height I'm at. So there's a little bit more slack in that than I'd like, but because of this knot over here, I mean, you can get real fancy with it. You bring this thing up around that knot like that. So now you're tensioned in, and that's not going anywhere. The only downside, the downside between Kelby's setup and my setup is this style of strap. Because it's not really like, the way I hunt this is more like how Kelby hunts out of the saddle. Like, I'll usually lean back so I can see things, but if I need to, I can turn around and shoot uphill or wherever, and I can have a little bit more space to move. I can't use the tree as much as cover. I mean, but I could shoot through here. I can shoot back behind, well, if I move this, I can shoot back behind me down here and pretty much have this whole range on the downhill side. So if something comes through this drainage, or even if something comes up here or comes down or whatever, I can, oh, and this is a big thing too, with this type of setup, because it's got these bars, I'll always fold this pretty much down, or at least like that. So if I want to move, I can sit back into it and just chill. But more importantly, I won't have it like this, because if I need to take a shot and it's something that's happening, like say deer's coming down this trail in front of me here, if I have this up like that and I go to draw back, there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to hit this bar with my bow or my bowstring. So I'll usually keep it down at an angle, that way deer's coming through here, I draw back, and then I'll lean out over so that I'm clear of everything in front of me, and then I'll shoot. But yeah, so that's kind of this setup. I like this personally. This works for me. It's a little, definitely more heavy to like pack in and pack out than the saddle setup, but it works and allows me to get up into trees and shoot deer. So, and I think honestly it's just as, for me, as versatile as the saddle.